Hey, no picture today, but I'm going to go over this C-SPAN thing I was listening to. So, this is Donald Trump giving some address or anything, something like that on C-SPAN. Initially, I didn't even want to care about it. Normally, I just click away. I did it for the debates initially. But instead, gives his address on the coronavirus or something like that. And I really thought this all is going to do is just expose the business of what Trump is doing. So I gave a list and I was jotting down notes quickly as I could. And then it got to the point where I just stopped caring. I just stopped caring. They're still going. They're talking to various people. I pretty much stopped at Mnuchin. They was throwing out those subliminal messaging to their voters. That's when I just kind of lost interest. And this lady was talking, so I'll get to that. I can remember most of the stuff. I just didn't want to write it down. Yeah, I use Microsoft Word. I'm just typing it, quote unquote shorthand. Of course, shorthand looks all squiggly. Anyway, let's get into this. So what he spoke about was that the fast food giants spoke to him. Well, the leaders of the fast food industry, they spoke to him. They're great, and their entire goal is to protect the economy. And the Trump administration is working with these. Like he was talking about McDonald's, Burger King. What was the other one? Hardee's, Wendy's. They spoke to him. I don't necessarily know about what exactly, other than using drive-throughs and stuff, I guess, similar to DoorDash, things like that. And that they all agree that, well, of course they're going to say this, right? But I also agree that no one should be using, going to the pubs and taverns, social gathering area restaurants, or even using, and they also said this, to not even use their own restaurants to come in and gather. So that's pretty all right. That's pretty good. The thing is, they just don't want to lose any business. So Trump then says that the whole goal is to get the economy back. It's going to come back fast. He kept saying that. Let's see, what's the next one? They brought up about testing. They asked him about testing, and they said that he said that they're going to get testing for those who need it, opposed to those that just want it or something like that. Something about desire over need. I get it. You don't want to give it to every hypochondriac out there. Those with Munchausen syndrome and those that are just panicked to be panicked. I get the panic. I understand it. But right now, if you remember what Sidra had said just a couple of videos ago, there's still the flu, the cold, strep, and allergies are now kicking in. Allergies have been kicking in since mid to late January. Some even came out in just post-winter solstice December. So roughly around the 25th, in that range, like the 22nd or 23rd to the 27th is when there was a spike in pollen in December, because it had reached 77 degrees and nothing knew what to do. So is that. And then let's see what else. They also said there should be paid leave for those infected. Now that followed testing for those who need it, but paid leave for those who are infected. And listen. Before I move on, I want to say this. You have to hear what's not being said, and sometimes listen to what is said and question it. Healthy skepticism is a good thing. An unhealthy skeptic disbelieves everything. I mean, they disbelieve everything. They don't trust anyone. They don't trust anything. And the worst ones don't even trust themselves. Trust me, I have grown up around them. And I mean that plural. I mean that plural. So when he says testing for those who need it, that's so vague. Not one person asked, how do you know who needs it and who doesn't? That wasn't asked. And that's a very important question. The truth is, there should be tests for everybody. And it should be in-home tests. Amazon's been working on this whole drone thing, and I know they don't even have many, if they have any at all. But at the same time, if there are ways to, get masks on to deliverers and things like that and get this stuff out, you could send these tests back to anyone. I mean, in all honesty, it's been quite a few decades where you could piss on a strip and find out if you're pregnant. And yet still it's good to go into the hospital just to make sure that you are, or at least your clinic or something, to make sure that you can be fully tested to be sure if you're pregnant or not. It's sort of a second opinion, an official opinion, because the test strips could be defective and sent out anyway. And that is also the issue, because that can happen exactly with these COVID-19 tests. And you can't just say coronavirus, because there are like 3 or 4 other major coronavirus out there, like measles. These things, is just be sure, So it's good to get these tests, get them done, send them out. People can test themselves. And let's say it does come back that you're positive, but let's say it's a defective one and it says you're positive. You know what? Roll with that. Use it. It can be broken. Use it. Stay inside. Wash your hands. Protect your loved ones. Isolate yourself to a room. Keep the room disinfected in the air best that you can. Okay? In that room, even though you're by yourself, cover your damn grill piece. Cover your mouth. You cough in that room, I want you to know, if you are isolated in your home, in a room, and you're coughing and touching everything, you got 9 to 10 hours maximum of that virus staying alive, floating in the air. All right? That's 9 to 10 hours. Every time you cough, that ticker starts over. Your hands get sweaty. It's on your hands. Automatic. You cough, it's in the air, it's going to land on your hands or on your body. You're going to touch that area. Now it has a warmer area, or at least a better environment to live and thrive on. Therefore, keep washing your hands. Make sure you're able to get a shower. Clean your body regularly. And if the shower is just a quick soap down, rinse it off because you've already showered. Don't worry about deodorant. Don't worry about lotion. Just be what it is. Quick rinse over, soapy showers. Just real quick. But when you do cough in an area and let's say you get this virus, it's going all over the place in that room. When it gets stifling in there, whether it is too cold, too hot, too muggy, too dry, you're going to turn the AC on, the heat on or something, and it's going to push that virus out of the room and into the home and infect your loved ones. And you can say, I've been isolated all this time. How did you get it? Because you used the air currents to push it out. You can't see the virus, as Trump called it, invisible in this. It's invisible. No, it's microscopic. And we do not see on the microscopic level, let alone the subatomic level. Okay? Some of us have blurred vision, like I do, seeing small letters until they're at a certain distance, or you got to use the little +1 glasses. And I can't use those because they are too powerful for me. So, yeah, I'm at that stalemate. And therefore, you have to figure out who needs to be tested. Everyone. But I want you, before I move on, testing for those who need it, it's akin to Medicare for all who want it, or access to Medicare. If you need it, you're going to pay for it. If you don't need it, well, you don't want to spend the money now, do you? It could be that. I'm not saying it is that. It could be that. Let's roll because I'm already at 10 minutes. But I really want to explain that in full. I really did. Paid leave for infected. Only the infected. So this means just pay leave for the infected. That means if you're not infected or you don't think you're infected, he says you should go to work. That's it. Or, you know what? The company should save some money. You're not infected, so you're taking a day off of work because you just feel like it, so you shouldn't get paid. You don't work, you don't get paid. And that has been espoused for maybe 65 years that I can recall hearing my parents talk and my grandparents when they were alive, hearing them talk here and there. Always work, always work. If you don't work, you don't get paid. If you don't get paid, you don't make money. You don't make money, then you are absolutely worthless. Think about that toxicity. So, I mean, come on now. Paid leave for infected. Yes, but we're all infected. How? Now, you might say, oh my goodness, no. Listen to me. Just listen. The reason I say we're all infected is because we all are going to ultimately either get it or be that extreme few that don't, or the ones that have it and are, and I cannot remember the word, the carriers, but without symptoms. I can't remember what it's called. Just you can put it in a comment. Atypical, carriers, I don't know what, I can't remember. But those who can carry it without any symptoms, and those are the ones that can spread it to everybody else. They think they're fine. I'm cool. I'm good. The virus just can't latch on to you. Something about your structure prevents it. Or if not that, then it's the virus itself. That virus, that part of it, that little piece cannot do what it needs to do. And it's like, I'm just incompatible with this guy. That's all right. Or this girl. They'll call for a sneeze or something, and I'll be right back out there in the game again. Because it's going to get in there and not give you any symptoms, but it's going to replicate like crazy. And if your body can build an immune system to it regardless, even for those that's recovered and your body's built an immune system to it, you are the ones that can most potentially be the part of making a vaccine. And a vaccine is something needed. This should have been done ages ago, don't you think? Back in November, late November 2019, when the United States government first heard about it, they thought, well, it's not going to get out of here because it's going to be contained in China. They didn't know, they had no clue on how this virus is or anything like that, because it's just complacency. All viruses, hey, just do this and do that, it'll, just isolate, it'll be fine. They didn't know what was going to happen. And the United States government, we didn't know, but the United States government knew, and they watched this virus spread out of control. They watched it. And I got a report on that guy in South Korea, patient 34, who wasn't cleared, and he left. He went to church. And in there, probably coughing or sneezing every once in a while, he infected 1,000 other people. And those 1,000 other people went home not knowing that they were infected. And they could have been out in the streets for about 4 or 5 days before they started saying, why do I feel sick? And every one of them had been around at least 30 to 40 other people. And if you ever been or even seen videos of South Korea, it's a dense area, so it's spread. It was worse than a wildfire. You can't even imagine this. So then, just a smidge of fun, how he pronounces industries. I had to in-dust-tree and then parentheses around that. I'm not putting stuff on screen. I'm just talking. I'd rather you just sit there and chill, do what you're doing, playing games, typing something out, or watching a video that doesn't need sound or something. Just chill and listen. That's all I'm asking. Just chill and listen. And just having a little fun. But you know what? The truth is, he's pronouncing it properly. Absolute properly. This industries, there's little slang and twang that you put up in there, depending upon your dialect, and stuff like that. You just, good grief. Everybody's got some way to pronounce something. Met this guy's name was Morrison. He's like, he pronounced his name Morrison. Like, what? So yeah, just have a little fun. Okay. So then he talked about the retail giants, Walmart and stuff like that. And he says, the retail giants are restocking like never before. They're restocking like never before. And he said that they're doing great. It's going to be better than before, and they're going to make everything stronger. So yeah, he's worried about the retail. He's worried about getting the economy back. The fast food giants, they want to protect the economy. It's all about, they don't care about people. They care about the money. And they are slowly realizing, and it's sad, it's pathetic, it's grotesque, it's shameful. They're realizing, wait a minute, we need these people that barely make anything to make us money. But that's not who they're talking to. They're talking to the upper middle class, to the lower upper class, to the upper class and beyond. That's who they're talking to. I know that just sounds like some assertion, but it's not. He's not talking to the trailer park people. He ain't talking to the public housing people. He ain't talking to the people that are, honestly, those who, because of the banks and stuff, they got to move every damn 2 or 3 or 6 months. They get somewhere, they live, they put their stuff in storage. Just think about the that aspect. Starting back in the early 2000s, how storage units grew, storage areas and businesses grew as these banks and their damn predator lending, was exposed. People couldn't maintain stuff, and these storage companies grew, and the storage companies had a way of, you've got this amount of time to pay us. If not, then we take all your stuff and we can sell it or burn it or whatever we want to do with it. Instead of saying, we're going to see all your stuff outside and whoever gets it, get it. But this storage is open for somebody else. Or the more social, reasonable thing of, your stuff is here, you need to come get it. Oh, wait. Well, we still got about 200, containers open. So let's go ahead and, you know what? It can stay here, but you need to get it. Because if we run out of space and this space is needed, your stuff is going to be thrown out. But they've turned it into a for-profit thing. And that's why Republicans and Democrats don't care about the banks and what they were doing. They don't care about the housing market and all that stuff because they know how for-profit it was on massive scales. That's who he's talking to. He's talking about the people on Wall Street, He's talking about the stock exchange. He's talking about all that. So then he says, America will be stronger than ever before. He keeps saying that. It can't, okay, listen, rationally, America can't be stronger than ever before because America is a group of other countries on one landmass with one adjacent landmass and sub territories here and there and a loose state, 2 loose states. But he's talking about the United States of America, of the Americas. And it can't be because he just wants to take it right back to where it was. And he's not talking about you. He's not talking about all of that. No, he's talking about the rich and the wealthy, the well-to-do. Honestly, those very people the very type-minded people that helped get the coronavirus, COVID-19, into the United States in the first place. Those very well-to-do people that can go and take their little 3 and 6 month vacations, over there to every other place that they technically don't give a damn about and stay in the resorts and stuff. And that's where the virus has always started there. They left China. They fled China to the best safe European areas that they possibly could, infected people there, and then got on their dumbass planes because nobody can stop them from getting on their property, and they left. And they flew to other little neighboring places and then refueled and took their happy asses back to the United States. All it takes is people doing that. And you got knuckleheads out there that this one dude, it was slightly misreported by Benjamin Dixon, but this guy went to the doctor, wanted to get tested. He got tested. And instead of waiting for the final results, he gets on a plane. He gets on a plane from New York to Florida. On that plane, right near the tail end of the flight, probably when they was over, just over North Carolina or South Carolina, he decides to check his phone and get his wife or him got the message that, yeah, you tested positive. You shouldn't get on any flights or any commercial vehicles, public vehicles or anything like that. You should go home and just, stay home, be quarantined and whatnot. And it's like, what? You're positive for it? That's pretty much what his wife probably shouted. Because, I don't know what it is about certain people, mainly outer city people that are just like, oh my God, I don't know what's up with that. Is that a genetic thing? Is that just, I don't know. It's weird, but, and then people on the flight started to panic and it was like, and it wasn't cool. And then the airline, they had to put out this statement saying that we didn't know. And then the other saying you did know, then this gets conflated. And I'm like, and I thought it was dumb, but then she was like, no, because you got to put that out there because people aren't going to think about the timeline of stuff. They're just going to be like, you knew he was infected and you let him up here. And it's like, not one part of rationality would come into them thinking, wait a minute, they would be infected too. They would not allow him up here if they knew. They wouldn't think that. So, and I'm going to get into the airline stuff. He mentioned something about airlines and, so then he got Mike Pence up there after saying some other stuff that I didn't really care about. But Mike Pence gets up there and he says, testing is available in all 50 states. And I'm like, oh, really? That's cool. But just because you say it don't mean it's so, you say you probably love your wife, just throwing that out there. So, and he's backing up Trump's 15 days to coronavirus guidelines. And it took him maybe 20 minutes to get to that. Now, Trump did go over it, but here's the thing. Even I got the goldfish mindset, and I'm like, wait, what are those? But besides, I even tuned in. I think it was already going on for like 8 or 9 minutes. So I didn't get a chance to hear that. But he kept talking about holding up a book and showing it and all this. So part of it was, if you feel sick, stay home. Yes, they was doing that. Last in 2018, they were saying if you're sick, stay home. Don't come to school with your flu or your cold or something. And then, it's someone tests positive, stay home. That's a no-brainer. But there are people out there that test positive and they get upset. So it's kind of like back in the day with AIDS, where they was like, if I get it, I'm going to give it to as many people as I can. I don't know what was up with them, but they had to make a law for some reason. They had to make a law saying, hey, you're going to go to prison for attempted murder. I don't know what. And it took them 15 years to do that, might I add. It took them 15 years to make that law. That's how slow we are. All right? Final Fantasy term, slow guy. Dragon Ball term, slow Jeter. And that's probably esoteric, the slow Jeter one. So, someone tests positive, stay home. Social gatherings limited to 10 people. And I'm like, if you limit it to 10 people, it don't matter because it's still 10 people that's going to take it home. You know, if these 10 people are isolated, live alone, they don't test positive, they don't have it. Oh, wait a minute, but they can't be tested because tests are probably, yeah, they're gonna cost some money. They aren't free. Just keep that in mind. They're not free. They're gonna cost you some money. So, you know, test for who need it. How much is your life worth to you? Well, that's how much you're gonna pay. And if you want to know, that's the pharmaceutical company's business model, hook, line, sinker, from top to bottom, inside and out, cover to cover. All right. And you know what? Don't do any social gatherings. You know, if you got to stay home because you're positive, you got to stay home because you might be positive. You got to stay home because you think you're positive. You got to stay home because you work. Because, you know, mainly don't give it to somebody else. You know, just, there's no such thing as social gathering to 10 people. And then they talk to and Mike Pence says he talked to the fast food giants about using drive-thrus and whatnot. And I get it. You know, people get cabin fever quick. You know, today, just like any other day, even 100, 200 years ago, people are just they're outgoing. They want to go out. They want to do things. It's sort of that adventure part of you that wants to be social and see new things, even though it might be the same things. It's going to be something a little different. See different people. That you know, it's just various things. You're adventurous, and you want that, but you got to fight that. Okay, you got to fight that. Keep your ass home, even if you have to be isolated to your home for a month. I would rather stay isolated in here for 90 days and be assured that I am going to live than to go out because I can't take it and then die within, 17 or 18 days. I'd rather cloister for 90 and live the rest of my life than die soon because I'd be a fucking idiot. That's important. And I'm mainly cursing just to make sure it's not safe for kids. Because kids don't care about this. They just want what they want. They will infect the hell out of everybody. You know, I explained this whole coronavirus and what it's doing to my daughter, and then the next day she's like, can I go to my friend's house? And I was like, there's a deadly virus outside. Do you really want to risk that? And she's like, it'll just be for today. And that is the mindset that a lot of these teenagers and whatnot will have. Because, yeah, as Mike Pence and others said, yeah, you feel invincible as a teenager. Honestly, I didn't. My motto was, if it can happen to me. Positive or negative. If it can happen to me. And the coronavirus can and will happen to me, especially if I go out begging for it, thinking nothing's going to happen because, YOLO, or I don't care, or whatnot. Well, you know what? I had this date. I had this plan. I got to get this girl, or the girl's like, I got to get this guy, or, hey, same sex. Either way, you want to get your Siggy, and that ain't good. It ain't worth it. If your Siggy cares about you, your significant other, if your Siggy cares about you, they're going to want you to be safe. If they don't want you to be safe, that ain't the person for you. That's just point blank. If they don't want to someone that loves you will keep you out of trouble. Keep that in mind. What else? High-risk people, stay home. No shit. Be mindful of seniors and such that are high risk. Those are the high-risk people. People that are high risk are those that have a hurt immune system. All right? They have a compromised immune system. They might have HIV. They might have full-blown AIDS. They could been in a rainy situation for a while. Listen to Riddle with 3 Ds. Riddle. Yeah, rain. Every time. That's why when it rains, you can get sick. If you're out in the rain too long, the dampness of the atmosphere is what, it kind of weakens you. It thickens the tissues in the body, and it can weigh you down. That's why when it's raining, or not raining, but extremely high humidity, that's why you hurt more. If you got an ailing injury, that's why it hurts more, because the humidity thickens your tissues and puts pressure on that stuff. It's a passive aggressive inflammation that will cause actual inflammation, and then it compounds with that, and you're hurting. You're like, I got to lay down, or I got to leave this somehow. That's why it's like that. And that's not just him. That's just what I've known since I was 19. And I love the rain. I always wished I could go out into the rain and just walk around and just let it fall on me and just get wet, soaking wet. And I always loved the water. That could just be the Aquarius in me. Let's see. Now, something that Pence mentioned, I was like, asking construction companies to donate masks / construction worker masks, and he said that they're good enough. Yeah, but that exposes what you think about minimum wage and people going out and buying the tiny bit of what they can afford. It's good enough to keep the economy going while you exploit that and make millions off of taxes. And then I might have to look this up. I'm gonna have to look this term up because I'm gonna have to. I forgot to do this before I started recording. It was something he said, and I was like, "What?" And I'm looking it up right now. I'm doing this. His line was, "We're gonna have to marshal the best of American people and government officials." I'm like, that's strange. Oh crap. Okay, see, I went to Merriam-Webster dictionary and it's on the side. Shop now. Buy one face shield pack for free. Seiko, or I don't know, SA and there's a shield and then company, I guess. And this one's like the Joker and stuff, so I guess they got different ones. But martial, because I was thinking martial law. I'm gonna have to just go through these. Let's see, a high official in the household of a medieval king, prince, originally having charge of the cavalry, but later usually in command of the military forces. That's 1A. 1B is a person who arranges and directs the ceremonial aspects of a gathering. Okay, that might be what they're saying, to marshal that. Let's see. Well, let's see. What's this? Okay. 2A, a field marshal, a general officer in the highest military rank. Field marshal, that was A, and then the general, that was B. Then you got 3A, an officer having charge of prisoners. 3B, which is divided into 1 and 2. So 3B1, a ministerial, okay. Since 3, officer appointed for a judicial district as of the U.S. to execute the process of courts and perform various duties similar to those of a sheriff. 3B2, a city law officer entrusted with particular duties. And 3C, the administrative head of a city police department or fire department. Marshal, let's see, as a verb, there are not many of these. But, okay, variants, or less commonly marshal with 2 L's, is a verb. Marshal is a verb, but also has been used with 2 L's, marshaled or marshaled with 2 L's, marshalling, marshalling, 1 L or 2 L's. One, a place in proper rank or position. Well, to place in proper rank or position. Marshaling the troops. So, 2, to bring together and order in an appropriate or effective way. Martial arguments. 3, to lead ceremonial or solicitiously usher. So marshaling the little group of children down. It seems like that seemed repetitive. So intransitive verb, to take form or order. I spent a lot of time on that, but I also wanted to make sure I knew what I was talking about a little bit. And yeah, it's pretty much just making sure that everybody that's rich and wealthy and whatnot are going to be safe. That's really it, and just make sure that they're all right. So just to guide order and whatnot. So it's probably encompassing all of that. So that was very vague, because I was thinking martial law, and in Italy, that might be happening with what's called a defense. Is defense something like that? I need to, let's see. I need to go back to something's in general discussion. No, I need to go back. Friend of mine that was in Italy is I assumed it's going to be martial law. I assume it's going to be martial law there. because what happened is that there's a thing where they are taking, U.S. and European troops and gathering them up, and that's what they're doing. And gathering them up, they're going to go over there and do exercises, but they've got to make sure all the streets and whatnot are cleared and things like that. That's what they're doing. And I'm like, and this was when it was really okay, the coronavirus, the COVID-19 that broke out, and multiple people were dying. It was not that there was an infection going on so much at that moment, but at that time, in mid-January, I think, 1,100 people had died. 1,100 people had died, and it was just terrible. Just terrible. And my friend at the time, well, he's still my buddy anyway. He's not in Italy, but he lost an uncle to this. His uncle died to this. He already had respiratory issues because he smoked a lot and things like that. But he died, and that sucked. My father's got the same problem. Well, my dad anyway. He's got the same problem. So what that basically says is that if he gets it, he's a goner. I mean, he could just get to the bottom of the street, get the trash can, try to pull that up, and he's already out of breath. That's how bad that is. And I do worry about that. I honestly do worry about that. Look, full disclosure, no, I ain't had the greatest relationship with my dad. I mean, if I didn't know his bad side, I wouldn't know him at all. I'm going to be straight up honest with that. Got to make sure not to talk out loud while I'm doing my email and password, trying to change accounts for Discord. Oh crap! How did I do that? Okay, so talking about all this is very important, and yes, at the same time, I'm delaying time. I'm really good at doing that, being distracting, but I'll do it in a positive way because I don't want to just throw that mess out there and just be that way. I don't need that. Okay, here we go. He wanted me to. It's called Euro Army Military Defender Europe. That's what it's called. And when the COVID virus is going rampant, you don't want to put people in harm's way of it. I don't care what fatigue you got on, what gun you're wearing, you're going to get it if you go there. Exercise Defender Europe 20 is the deployment of a division-sized combat credible force from the United States to Europe, the drawing of equipment and the movement of personnel and equipment across the theater to various training areas. U.S.-based equipment will leave from ports in 4 states and arrive in 6 European countries. This will require the support of tens of thousands of service members and civilians in multiple nations. United States service members will then spread out across the region to establish intermediate staging bases with multinational forces and participate in various annual exercises. These U.S. and European exercises are regularly conducted and not part of Defender Europe 20, but rather linked through a shared exercise scenario, coordinated mission command, mutual sustainment, and common communication environment. Defender 20 Europe is the largest deployment of U.S.-based forces to Europe from an exercise in the more than 25 years. Follow along here in our Defense Information Video Distribution Service feature page at Defender Europe 20 and on social media with the hashtag Defender Europe and all this other stuff. And here's the thing, what I told him was, and this is going to relate back to what I'm talking about, but what I was telling him was this: you better hope that it's not martial law, because it's going to be real bad, because it's going to be pandemonium. It's already a pandemic. Now it's going to be a pandemic mixed with pandemonium. They're going to riot, because what might happen, and I told him, don't think it's going to, but be prepared if it does. And I said, hey, this right here it's almost like we're going to be here doing exercises. Don't worry about it. Just clear the streets so that we don't have to, bump into you, hurt you, or anything like that with this gear and all this other stuff. And then all of a sudden, supposedly this stuff's supposed to take place at late night, these little exercises, so it doesn't disturb anybody and keep it away from cities and towns and whatnot. I get that. But then what happens? Suddenly it's going to say we have to push it back to 1 o'clock. For our safety, we got to push it back to 12. Oh, you know what? You can't be on the streets at this time because we need to make sure that all the practices and stuff are safe. And then they're going to push it back to 11 and then 10. And at 10 o'clock, that's when the people are going to not only be frustrated, but they're going to be angry. They're going to be real angry because 12 o'clock was already pressure. 11 o'clock was concern. 10 o'clock is, okay, what the hell are you trying to do? And they're going to be upset. They're going to start trying to fight back. They're going to argue. They're going to be like, get out of here. And what the problem is, that is going to be nothing but people spreading the virus even more. Instead of being cloistered and just in their homes, separated, divided and stuff from everyone else, they're going to be out there in the streets angry instead of being in their homes initially what they should have been doing in the first place. And understandably so, but foolhardily so. And then the military is going to say this: for our safety, because of what's been happening and COVID-19 and your own safety and our safety, you need to stay in homes at a curfew of 8 o'clock. And that 8 might turn to 6. And they will have military force in the streets making sure that nobody comes out of their damn homes. And people are going to be pissed off because then they're going to want that natural. You think that teenage rebellious stuff leaves you? No, it's in there for life. They're going to want to come out just to get at the military. That's what's going to happen. And we have a massive military in the United States, but it's also a weak military. While they have the firepower, they've got the weaponry, at the same time, they don't necessarily have all the health either. They know how to mask any bad health or declining issues, with sternness and whatnot. They know how to mask it. Most of us do it our lives. We just don't acknowledge it like that. Military, they're really good at doing that. They have to be jacked up to show signs of fatigue, weakness, illness, and things like that. And so here, while, they can't cover the United States, but they will definitely cover those, inner city areas, those disadvantaged areas, those public housing areas, those minority areas. They're going to really get those. They're not going to really. Now, here's the thing. They're going to get certain cul-de-sac areas because that's also seen as not so well-to-do, the cul-de-sacs. But they will definitely get there. Plus, there's one way in, one way out, and they don't think people are going to run off into the woods to another neighborhood. I don't know why. But, that's what's going to happen. If they begin to initiate any form of martial law into any area, especially here in the United States. So it's very important for everybody to understand that. So to keep carrying on, Trump, he decided that Steve Mnuchin is going to, he says he's going to introduce Steve Mnuchin, and then Steve Mnuchin will be going back to Capitol Hill for something big he's working on. Steve Mnuchin is a jackwhite. He is straight up money grubbing jackwhite. Something big he's working on. And if Trump says something is big, is money involved. That's all it is. Money. All this time I've mainly spoken about, the economy, and then you start hearing okay, look, this is what the doctors say. All that stuff about the 15 guide and all that crap, that's the stuff that's been going out since January, honestly. Since January, we've been hearing that. But no one thought that it was going to come here. But those well-to-do people that like to fly around and go from place to place and just enjoy life and say it was a nice place to visit because they sure as shit wouldn't want to live there, not permanently or anything. Oh, no, they just have a home there, take up space, and no one else can use that space. People that could actually use it to live and expand their family or anything like that, they use it. But, hey, this is what's happening. This is what's going on right now. And let's see what he said that, then Steve gets up there. Then he throws, we're going to put $10 billion. He was like, we're going to put $10 billion because this right here is a $1 trillion thing, but we're going to get it for less or something. We're going to dispense it. But he never said what it was. That's what bugged me. Maybe I just missed it, but I kept listening. And he's not talking about what it is. This is, we're going to get it. And it was something of $1 trillion worth, but we've got it for 10 billion on the dollar. And we're going to make sure that everything thrives properly again. And I'm sitting here like, y'all are speaking vague. Cause I'm like, y'all must have maybe said it once in the beginning, but I was listening. I'm sure I had the volume up. I was looking at the screen. I'm listening. I'm looking at the stuff at the bottom. I didn't hear anything. And then he said it. We're going to get 1 trillion for the market. And I'm like, wait, what? For the market? We're going back to the economy again, huh? Then he says, and we're also going to get another 300. He said something like, he tried to make Trump look magnanimous or whatnot, but it was like Trump wanted 50 billion for the market. He was like, no, we're going to go up. We're going to go to like 100 billion. And Trump's like, no, just 70 or 75 billion. He's like, no, we just said, we're going to give you 300 billion. We're going to put 300 billion into the market support. And I'm like, market support. And people, what they would hear that is, anyone else would hear that as, okay, for everyone out here, we're going to get some money. Because he was talking about giving $1,000 of stimulus to people so they can use it to get tests and other stuff like that. And the reporters kept badgering Trump on, when are you going to get it? When are you going to, is it now? Is it today? And he's like, yes, now, today. This can't wait. This has to be now, yada, yada, yada. But I doubt it. That's me personally. I doubt it. And then Pence says, working on this with Republicans, we're going to make sure we do this. And what I got out of that really was, what my notes was, working on this with Republicans as subliminal shot to voters listening to evade exposing the business. Because the truth is, the Democrats are most likely on point with them. They want all the same stuff. They want the stock market to go back up. Because I want you to think about this. You never heard a single Democrat come out and say that we're against bolstering the stock market. We're against this money for the stock market. All right. You don't hear that. You don't really hear it. What you do hear is, we need to stop Sanders, and Sanders is not electable. And that's it. We got to stop Trump. We got to stop Sanders. So you got to stop progressive forward thinking, and you got to stop, the regressive right. So, that's pretty much it. And I don't even see why they want to stop Trump when Trump is doing exactly what they want. The problem is, the Democrats aren't being favored for it. They're getting a lot of money to shut the hell up, but they're not getting that money to stay in power to do what the big donors want them to do. That's a different level of money. And that's the only true division of Democrats and Republicans. That's the only division that they really have. He also says he wants to help with the domestic airline industry, but refused to get into the specifics. And that was strange about Mike Pence, wanting to, well, not Pence, but Steve Mnuchin. He's like, we're going to help the domestic airline industry, but we're not going to get into any specifics. And that was strange, because the airline industry, because people are going to be on less flights. And you got people like Fox News and stuff out there saying, hey, go to these restaurants. It's the best time because there's no one there. Get on these flights because nobody's on them. You can just stretch out and just do whatever you want to do. And you can just go there. But no, they're talking about flights to anywhere, okay? They're talking like the coronavirus, the COVID-19 is not that COVID-19 isn't as dangerous or whatnot. They really must think that their money is going to protect them. If they get sick, they have the money to go to a hospital and get treated better than anybody else. But the truth is, when this thing gets in you, it's almost like snake venom. It's almost like cobra venom and mixed with a cocktail of scorpion venom and stuff like that, because it gets there and it starts shutting you down. I mean, it literally goes right to your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, and it shuts them down. It makes sure that the air sacs in the lungs can't get much air because they're so swollen, so you can't breathe. That's less oxygen to the lungs. The lungs begin to shut down. Your heart's going to shut down because you're going to get much air to your heart. That's what's going to happen. But it also kills the muscles of your heart. It also kills the muscles and other things in your kidneys. That's why COVID-19 is so dangerous. And these people are foolishly, stupidly saying to go out and just do stuff. You need to keep your ass home, and you need to stop watching them. When they'll start saying the right things, when you hit them pockets, you take your eyes away from their channel, you put it on social media, advocate for social media, Young Turks and things like that are that are neutral in terms of we don't cater to Democrats, we don't cater to Republicans, and if you're a progressive screwing up, then we're going to call you out on it. That's what you need. You need people that are highly accountable. While I do have my issues with a lot of these people, but for the ground-based level, for the surface level, also, they're doing the absolute right thing, and they're giving you the best information that the paid media, mainstream media, is not going to give you. So that's why I urge you to talk to other people and get social media onto them. And I ain't talking about Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro and stuff, because they're going to say things that are worse than Fox News. They're going to talk with so much hate and venom, and when they're saying stupid stuff, because they're going to sit there and say stuff like, the radical left. Once somebody says that, that's when you know that they're disingenuous. That's when you know they're just being propagandizing to you or anything else. When they say something like, the communist China, that's how you know it's just some racist crap. Don't listen to it. Don't watch it. Turn away from it. Tell your friends and family, hey, point it out to them and tell them you can't watch people like this because that's just crazy. You just can't watch things that are not in your best interest. We all have children that we want to raise, or at least a lot of us do, and we always want to do what's in their best interest. So I think it's time to turn that attention not just from them, but to you as well, and say that you need to do things that's in your best interest, not what's hating you or not telling you the best things. Turn away from that. Turn to things that's going to look out for you. Now, while Young Turks and others are looking out for their bottom line as well, because it is a capitalist system and they are all capitalists, at the same time, they're going to say, hey, be safe, because they automatically know, first and foremost, if you're dead, they make no money. So they have a strong, severe goal to keep you alive, even if it's going to cost them money, because hopefully you'll come back. They don't want you or anyone else to die. And that's a whole lot better than people that are getting out there and just saying, go have fun. That's a lot better. And I think you should heed that. Trump, he says, now someone asked about, well, what about the people at home that have to stay home? They don't have work or anything like that. And he's like, oh, the people at home are important, And he said, I'm like, whoa, it's like, I could tell that he just forgot. He just forgot about the people at home. He just, when you got to stay home or be home, paid leave or anything like that, they got to get tested and things like that. And he just, oh yeah, and he said people at home are important. When he said that line, I'm like, what in the world? What in the world? He's only worried about the upper crust, the washed few and not the unwashed masses. There's a big difference. And people need to, really pay attention to that stuff. Really need to pay attention. Now I'm going to call out a number to you real quick, because I'm at the end. That's all my notes. Because right now it's money over need, money over people. People in need over money, always. It don't matter if the economy takes a hit, because in order to get true change, you got to take a hit. Anyway, I'm going to call out this number. All right. Now, I want you to hear me out. Hopefully I can say this right. It's been a while since I called out a large number. 1,652,000,000,000. Whoa, hold up. See, I'm hearing tick, 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 and it's distracting me. Sorry about that. And I was sitting there I'm going to read this number, and all of a sudden, tick, 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 whew, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. Okay. All right. I'm put my right hand over my right ear here. Okay. My daughter's playing Roblox, and it's just, I'm like, I keep looking up at the screen, and I'm seeing her fall off a cliff. Okay. 1,652,000,000,047,020,000. All right. It started off with a trillion, yes. So, in essence, $1.66 trillion. All right. I want you to hear that. $1.66 trillion. Round it up. All right. Well, loosely round it up. That's what it would take every single month to give every human being in the United States $5,000. Now, the current census that I could find places us $330,409,404. Well, not dollars, but people. Yeah, the politicians see us as dollars. But yeah, that's how many people. So ballpark it, 330 million people. Okay. Now there's more than that here, but no, not for long, sadly. And you wonder, okay, so let's say UBI, everyone got $5,000 a month, every single one. That now let's just say everyone that needs it. All right, they're the ones that are not well to do. You know, like us, we don't need $5,000. A simple $1,000 extra a month would help us, and it would put us in a comfortable range, and we would just fine. All right, but there are people out there that absolutely need this, maybe even more. And the reason I bring this up is because this here, you could even reduce it, okay? You could reduce it to a flat $500 billion. All right? So that would be in essence of $2,700 a month. I'm just this is just mind's eye thinking about it, all right? I could be way off. But $2,700 a month for every person that's on the census that is known, all right, a month. And someone asked, how are you going to pay for it? How are you going to pay for it? I want you to understand what I read earlier for the market. This is today. This is March 17th, 2020. Initially $1 trillion for the market, and then an additional $300 billion. So $1,300 billion for the market to support the stock market. So to shore up those banks and shareholders and CEOs and all this other stuff that have lost profit, not revenue. They lost profit. All right. That's just today. They're going to give $1.3 trillion to these people. They're not thinking about now. I want you to think about this. This is in addition to the $500 billion, the $500 billion they gave just 3 or 4 days beforehand. And that got swallowed up because shareholders want their money. All these other people want their money, and the banks got drained, so they're asking for more. And that's the second one. Beforehand, they gave $500 billion. So that's already $1 trillion that they've given to these people. Okay? Do you hear me? That's $1 trillion they gave. And then they had two sub packages of $300 billion each. So that's $600 billion. So that's $1,600 billion they gave before today. So now they're going to give a total of $2,900 billion to these banks in a matter of 2.5 weeks. Okay, and I was very generous. In truth, it's only been 9 days. And they've given roughly thereof, rounding up, $2 trillion. Okay? Well, 3 trillion. Honestly, 3 trillion. So $2 trillion was nothing. But when you ask for Medicare for all, which initially was $14 trillion over 10 years, And then it went up to $15 trillion. And this isn't by Bernie standards. This is the Democrats and the Republicans saying this. The Democrats started off at 14 trillion. The Republicans said it'll be 15 trillion. The Democrats then agreed to be 15 trillion. The Republicans then said it was going to be $20 trillion to cover everybody for Medicare for all. And then the Democrats started parroting it's going to be 20 trillion. Then it went up to 22 trillion. And now at the debate, Biden throws out it's going to be $30 trillion. Bernie didn't have a comeback for that because Bernie, also, I noticed that when he said 30 trillion, Bernie kind of squint like, what? And that means Bernie has to unpack all of that as well as explain how to pay for Medicare for all, as well as point out how doing the public option isn't good enough. While it's good already, it's not good enough. That is why he didn't have a comeback for all of that stuff, because that's too much to unpack, and he ain't have but like 3 minutes to talk anyway, if that. So just think about that. The truth is, free college for everyone on average will cost about $400 billion a year, tops. That's 365 days, sometimes 366 days every 4 years. $500 billion a year. And thus far, they've given, I think, 1.9 or $2.9 trillion to the banks in the course of almost 2 weeks. I want you to compare that, okay? And let me just be generous. Call it right down the middle. Let me CNN this. $2 trillion in 2 weeks, opposed to $500 billion per year. They don't care about you. They care about the money. They can just throw money at the banks like it's nothing, but they can't give you a dime. Has anyone asked, how are they paying for these banks? Because everyone that hates socialism, you know what they're saying? I don't want to just throw my money out to these socialists. I don't want to give my money. Why should I give my hard-earned money to you handouts? So tell me, how do you think they're paying for these banks? Where's that money coming from? Because the banks ran out of money. Shareholders no money, but they wanted their shares. Stock market taking drops, and they got to lift the stock market. And the stock market ain't got nothing to do with us. Because if it did, when they give that money to the stock markets, don't you think that we would have automatically started living better? I want you to think about that. I really do. That's very important. Very important. We should have any and everything that we need because we do have the money. We just allocate it to the wrong places. We need a total system overhaul. And it needs to be a shock to the system, and it's going to be painful at first, but everything worthwhile takes a hard edge to get it done. It really does. And it begins with you. It truly begins with you. Your belief, your need, your desire, your critical thinking, your understanding. Because right now we're all cloistered in our homes. But in our homes, we have the ability to think, discuss, and cause emotional and logical change that can bleed out and give everybody that need. That's important. It's very important. Everything wants to go viral. I'm sure not many people really want to say that line too much, but forward thinking needs to go viral. It really does. Because I don't want to give these people my money. I don't want my woman to give them her money. I don't want you to give these people your money. I don't want any of us to give them our money to give to these rich assholes that only destroy us. Literally using your money to kill you. And think of all those life insurance policies. Those life insurance policies that they've taken out onto the elderly working at Walmart and other places like that. They can't wait for the coronavirus, COVID-19 to kill them. They can't wait because they're going to collect on that. Iran has mass graves already dug out. The United States corporations, they've got mass insurance policies written out. Stay safe, stay inside. I'm going to say something right now. There is an absolute way to get rid of this virus. Absolute way. And I'll be done. You're already doing it if you are. But it needs to be overkill. It needs to be overkill. Trump and anyone else is talking about the virus is in you. It can be in you for 14 days without you showing symptoms. It doesn't mean that it only lives in you for 14 days. It's replicating all the time in your body. So once you have it and it's in you, you have to get treatment. You have to make sure you do the things so that you stay as healthy as possible while this virus tries to eradicate everything within you. You have to defeat this virus. If you have it, you have got to get treatment the best that you can. Listen to what your doctors say. Do research online for others. Don't follow stupid challenges and things like that. There are places to go to find some very helpful things. All right. Since I'm in North Carolina, everything here is either Duke or UNC or some subsidiary place where people go to die. I am not bullshitting. So I found some UNC stuff. I will put those links in the description and you can go and check it out. It's there's coronavirus tracker, and there's also a UNC page that talks about symptoms, misinformation, and other things like that as well. There are many places to get information. Now, you have to stay inside, honestly, until you are better. That's first and foremost. Do you understand me? You have to stay inside until you are better. That's first and foremost. Second, quarantine yourself regardless, whether you are healthy, unhealthy, sick, not sick, high risk or not. Quarantine yourself. Not only so that you can't get it from others, but if you may have it and don't show symptoms because you're that fortunate, you're still a carrier. Stay inside so you don't spread it to anyone else. That's very important. So those are the two major things. Wearing a mask is great. Everyone should wear a mask when they go out, but only if you have to go out. If your job will get rid of you because you want to stay home and live, I know that you need the money because that's the society we live in, but you need to really ask yourself, is it worth dying? Is it really worth dying to please people that don't like you? To please financial groups that can't wait for you to die anyway? So please, please consider that. Stay home. Don't go to public places. Only go where you gotta go. And hey, if you need to, if you don't have those serious thick masks, if you got a lot of bandanas, you can tie those around your face. You can keep it moisturized with you can put, I guess lotion might help. I don't know, it'd be hard to breathe. But the harder it is for you to breathe through that thing, the harder it is for you to contract the virus. So you have to control your breathing. You can spray it down with some alcohol or something. I'm not saying these things are absolute proof. No. Well, at least the bandana one. The others are, yes, do those. But if you got to cover your mouth, do so. If you're going to cough when you're outside, make sure you tuck your shirt in to your clothing. And wear a thin undershirt and then wear your nice shirt over it. So I guess because you want to look cute and stuff. And then use your undershirt, pull it open, cough down into it with it covering your face. Cough down into it. All right? Cover at least from the nose down. Because even though you'll cough, air still will rush out of your nose, and that will also put into the air. Make sure that you isolate it to you. All right? And if you need to, if you got a bottle full of alcohol or something, in a sprayer, spray it into you under that shirt, under your skin to help kill what's there. There's nothing wrong with that. We're trying to live, people. We're trying to live. And you can't live if you don't care. And people that don't care, they don't need to live anyway because they're just going to kill everybody else. And that sucks. But that's, hey, I don't care if anyone lives that's going to try to kill me. They got to die. They got to go. That's exactly how it would be. If I saw someone feverish and outside coughing and stuff, and I'm like, get inside. What are you doing? You're coughing and the wind is going to just take that somewhere down the road and give it to somebody else. The wind could get to their chimney, blow through their chimney into their attic or down into the fireplace that they have, and now they got it because of your ass. Those things can happen. No one's thinking about that stuff. And if they're like, hey, I don't care. Honestly, personally, I want to blow their damn heads off, but I don't have a gun. So I just have to be like, fuck you, and call the cops, let them know what they're doing. But then I put the cops at risk. But then again, the cops are at risk anyway. But still, be safe, people. Purell, Germ-X, or whatever hand sanitizer is good. But keeping your hands washed is great. And if you have to handle things, the one thing that no one's ever said, put on some gloves. Put on some gloves. Wash the gloves like you would your hands. Or spray them down with the alcohol if you got a bottle of alcohol. Or with some germ cleaner of some kind. Or, dispense like the Purell or Germ-X or anything like that. Do that. Clorox is fine, but Clorox is also deadly to you. That's basically chemotherapy, and drinking Clorox isn't going to help. Be safe, people. I know this is a very long podcast. I know this is a very long episode. I'm into it for an hour and 10 minutes. But I really want to make sure that everybody gets as much information as I went over this. I might separate it out, who knows, but at the same time, I just wanted you to get all the information, hear it from my side. Be better. Be better, okay? Keep yourself isolated, quarantined, so that you don't spread it to anyone else and no one can spread it to you. If you're trapped in your room and your family's downstairs, make sure you cover the door with a paper towel. Not paper towel, but a towel, a beach towel, so that whatever you got don't float to the bottom and outside. Tape it shut so that it's isolated to you only. Keep the windows closed. I know you might want some fresh air, but that fresh air comes in and it takes all that virus that's floating around in the air out to everybody else. So really think about this stuff, all right? Really think about this stuff. Look, I'm just going to end it here, but I really appreciate anyone that's hung in there all this time. I really do. It's been Cedric Kennedy for Comparative Reasoning. Thank you for listening.